Vaibhav this side, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about the anxiety of non-action and what this term really mean and what's the root cause or source of it. This is something that I have seen in my life time and time again, this problem, and multiple times dealing with it and what to really do about it. And by the end of the video, I will be sharing with you three keys that you can apply and use that are going to help you to really process and release this anxiety in the right manner. So let's get started. So today I want to talk to you about the anxiety of non-action. And what this problem really is that we all have desires and visions for our life. We all have them regardless of you notice them consciously or they arise unconsciously. We all have these desires that we truly want to experience in our life. You may be having a desire to start up a business, or if you are an existing business owner, you want to scale up and take your business to the next level, or you may be stuck at your job and want to move to a better job, or simply you may be someone who would like to pursue some artistic endeavors like music or creating your own YouTube channel, right? It could be anything. But what happens is that when we look at all these desires, we just focus on the end goal. We just think about how grander, how unachievable this goal is. And then we are overwhelmed by all these self-doubts and limiting beliefs about ourselves, right? Like, oh, I am not good enough, how can this even be possible for me? I don't have this, I don't have that. This is the mind way of thinking about these desires, right? So we have mind and then we have heart. The mind always tend to think about logic, practicality, because this is how it has been conditioned over time by the society. This is how society has conditioned the mind to look for the logic and practicality of your desire. And the mind tend to look at all these from these lenses of belief that it has been programmed with all the time, right? But the heart doesn't know about these logic. The heart doesn't understand these logic. There is no why and how. Heart just want to experience what it want to experience. The heart just want to have that business or that dream job or that music to be created, because this is how the heart function. So look at it this way. You want to start that business not because you want to have, make a lot of money, but because you want to experience the feeling that having all that money can give you. You want to create that music just not for the sake of creating the music, but really experiencing the feeling behind being a creator. So heart is more leaning toward the feeling aspect of your desires, while the mind is stuck in the logic. And then what ends up happening is that your heart and your mind, they start to work in conflict rather than working in conjunction. Because when you prioritize logic over the feeling, when it comes down to your desires, this shuts the heart completely, because your heart has all these desires, but you are shutting it down with the logical explanation of why you can't have it. Why having this desire is kind of stupid. And this is the real problem, because when you shut your heart's desire and throw it at the back, it causes this conflict between the heart and the mind and give rise to this feeling of anxiety. You experience this feeling of heaviness in your solar plexus areas, and this feeling is kind of overwhelming. Now, what most people do is that whenever this feeling arises, rather than acknowledging it and accepting it, they distract themselves. They go watch TV, they browse through social media, just to avoid that little voice that wants them to work on their desire and on their vision. And this is the actual cause of procrastination, because we are not ready to acknowledge these deepest desire that we want to have. We don't take the ownership to at least pursue them and take the first step, because again we are not able to look beyond these limiting beliefs that our mind has subscribed to. Also, the other problem that we face is that we look at the journey and the destination as two different aspects of achieving our goal. Now, what do I mean by that is that when we look at all those desires, we see them at long distance away. We start to think from the mind's eye that success is realized only when we reach the final destination. Now, when we think that way, we immediately create a separation between our current situation and the final goal. But when you shift your perspective from seeing goal and the journey as separated to seeing them as one, this now bridges the gap between the goal and you, because now you know that the journey and the destination are the same. Your movement toward the goal is the actualization of goal itself. This is your way of shaping that dream into reality. And what it really does is that all that anxiety that has been trapped due to stagnancy is now being released through action, right? This is the best way of processing this feeling of heaviness that you experience because of your inaction. It's like, me raising this marker at this height. When I do that, what I'm doing, I'm raising the potential energy of it. Gravity wants to pull it down. At this point, this marker is at unstable position, just like these feelings of anxiety because of being stagnant. But now, when I release it, now the potential energy is transmuted into the kinetic energy and it goes to a stable equilibrium state, right? This is what happens when we start taking actions that facilitates our movement toward our goal and desire. And this feeling is no more trapped within us as it's now being released via actions. Now, I want to discuss with you 3 keys that will really help you to process this anxiety in the right manner and eventually release it and translate it into action, right? So the key number 1 is to really have the awareness around these desires that you want to experience in your life, right? So if something keeps coming back over and over again, it means that you have to do something about it. So for example, if you want to start a YouTube channel and you notice that you are kind of lingering on this desire and you have these desires keeps coming up for months, it means you have to do something about it. You see, we get so many thoughts and ideas around what we really want, but most of them don't really stick around for too long. For example, I wanted to learn guitar at some point, but really that desire didn't stick for too long. But when I got this idea of starting my own YouTube channel, I just couldn't shrug it off from my mind. It just keeps coming over and over again. And when that happens, when something sticks for too long, then it's time to really acknowledge it and accept it. When you acknowledge them and accept them and give them permission to exist, then these desires slowly start taking the shape, right? Which really brings me to the second point, which is you have to start moving toward your desires. And this is probably the most important but the hardest step, right? If you don't really take the first step toward your desire by taking the necessary actions, it can never be brought into the reality. I know taking the first step is the most logical but the hardest part of it. It's like what really brings satisfaction and fulfillment in one's life is not reaching the end destination. Reaching the end destination is just a speck of a moment. But what makes it memorable is the journey. Even in your life, remember the time when you were trying to achieve something and you were working for it for so long and finally you made it. Through this day, ask yourself what made that goal so memorable, and probably the answer that follow is that all the work that you were putting in to achieve it, right? To this day, you must be telling the story of that goal achievement to someone, and the highlights are always the hard work that was put into it, right? So all it takes is putting one foot in front of the other. A journey of 100 miles is completed by taking the first step, right? And which brings me to the third key, which is the understanding that the journey and the destination are the same. The day you will realize it and you start internalizing it, it's going to change everything. The moment you stop bifurcating, journey and destination and come to this understanding that they are the same, there's no longer would be this struggle, this internal battle within yourself, because now you know the goal and the process are the same. If you are working on the process of achieving your goal, it's same as working on the goal itself, achieving at the goal itself, right? And this understanding is going to be a real game changer for you, right? And with that, I'm concluding this video. Leave me a comment down below to let me know if that was useful, or if you have anything to ask, I will be more than happy to answer them. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and peace.